Janan Matari is a two-time award-winning Palestinian storyteller and producer with an unwavering commitment to social justice.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to do this speech without crying. I'm very good, obviously, you know, at looking into a camera and yelling at press. But when I'm around my people, I get soft. I'll start by telling you that I'm so honored to be here. I can't explain the warmth that my heart feels to be amongst my fellow MENA family and our supporters. I have craved this experience so much and for so long, and to finally be able to witness and enjoy it is very special. But it also makes me incredibly sad, because this is all our people should ever be doing in every space that we exist. Gathering, celebrating, and just reveling in our gorgeous culture, instead of fighting for our lives and our freedom. If you don't know, I'm Palestinian. It has always been my biggest flex. But I have never been so simultaneously filled with pride and with heartbreak to be a part of the Palestinian collective than the way that I have felt in the last 50 days. I've given a few speeches now since everything escalated in Gaza, but I think that this is the most important one that I will give, because it centers a category of people who are often overlooked. People who are literal heroes and are the reason that we are even made aware of the truth of what is happening in Gaza right now. It's a category of people who have an undeniable power to persuade and influence public opinion, which directly impacts world events. And it is a power that so many abuse. If it weren't for my Arabness, my Palestinianness, I don't know that I would hold journalists and journalism in such high regard. Because what we see here in the West is not journalism. It is propaganda. It is fabricated stories and unverified claims to push an agenda that seems to always be for war. It is lazy reporting without appropriate context and made-up timelines that don't tell the whole story. It is not honorable, and it is dangerous to humanity. But I still got a degree in journalism because I grew up watching, though not understanding, journalists on platforms like Al Jazeera. Journalists like Shireen Abu Akleh, who, rather than spew hatred or misinformation about indigenous people from the comfort of a desk 7,000 miles away from conflict zones, walked into battlegrounds with live ammunition being fired at her from every angle, in hopes of sharing what everyone else wanted to make sure that we never see. And that type of hope is a powerful tool for us Palestinians. So powerful that it ended her life when an Israeli sniper shot just below her clearly marked press helmet and killed her during her coverage of Jenin refugee camp in occupied Palestine in 2022. I grew up watching the likes of journalists like Wa'il Bihdour, who went towards danger and airstrikes in Gaza to continue his reporting of the truth that Israeli intelligence warned him against doing, and hoped that somehow his family that he left sheltering in a home would be safer than he was. Instead, they were targeted and killed. His wife, son, daughter, and their 1.5-year-old grandson, Adam. The coverage in this country, particularly the coverage of Palestine, is shameful. It has always been shameful in times of humanitarian crises. It has always been on the wrong side of history. It has always hidden the truth. It has always been biased, and it has always been to push the agenda for the colonial weapons of war industry. When I become frustrated with my education choice and my career choice, and wonder why I so desperately try to remain a part of the media industry, which is an industry that has made it very clear people like me are not welcome, I remember Palestinian journalists. I remember the people who inspired me and taught me that I could use my words and truth as weapons. I remember the people that colonial powers like the US and Israel are so terrified of, and I refocus. Palestinian journalists are what legends are made of. They and their work are the world's muse. They are who we draw inspiration from to find ways to channel our rage and anger and sadness into creative forms of protest. Something that we're all doing here today. So I want to take a second to remind everyone that anytime you're embracing your culture, it is a form of protest. Palestinian journalists have changed the world in a way so drastic and shifted the collective consciousness so far from where it was stagnant and distracted that there is literally no going back to the world that we once knew. The world is changed for the better because of Palestinian journalists. The entire planet has its eyes on Palestine right now, and if you're asking me for an analysis, those eyes seem pretty focused until Palestine reaches liberation. And that is because of Palestinian journalists. Journalists who I've been blessed to get to know personally in the last 50-something terrible days. Journalists who, in their darkest hours, have been a source of light for the rest of us. Journalists who keep going for us. Journalists who walk towards bombings and snipers with their cameras in hand, holding on to that hope that we will share something, that they will share something with you that will move you so deeply that it will shake your world to its core, so that you wake up every morning, you set your intentions, and you lay out your plan for how you will contribute to a better, safer, and freer future for everyone. When I started learning about how quickly Palestinian journalists were being targeted and executed in Gaza, I immediately knew I needed to find a way to memorialize the heroes. In the words of a former client turned friend, because all Palestinians eventually become friends, my friend Amina Musa once said to me that clothes are a conversation. They're a conversation starter. And it reframed my thinking on the power of a t-shirt. It went from believing that protest clothing was just for shock value to protest clothing can start a conversation. And the conversation that I wanted to contribute to was about us as journalists. So I thought about how I would keep people talking about Palestine and about these heroes. I reached out to Lara and Vanessa from For Your Viewing Pleasure, which one more round of applause for everything that they've done. And it just so happened that they were also contemplating a new release of t-shirts for Gaza, and the stars had just aligned. About 2 weeks into the bombings in Gaza, Reporters Without Borders published this quote: "Palestine is one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a journalist." And after sharing that with Lara and Vanessa, we all knew immediately what we wanted. Today, I'm super honored that we've been able to launch a very simple but powerful t-shirt with For Your Viewing Pleasure titled Press. A symbol that deserves the utmost respect and means of protection, but that is entirely disrespected and failed time and time again for those who wear it with the integrity that it requires. On the back of our shirt is a quote that inspired the piece, and under it lies the list of names of 50 Palestinian journalists who have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. With an unfortunate disclaimer under that list that I now have to read to you because it stands true. And it is that at the time of printing these shirts, this list of names grew every single day, becoming quickly outdated. Since printing this tee, it has become outdated once again, as Israel unpaused its genocide on Gaza and has killed an additional 4 Palestinian journalists, making the total number of Palestinian journalists killed since October 7th 54. 100% of these proceeds from the shirt will be donated to the Arab and Middle Eastern Journalists Association, which is an organization dedicated to supporting a flourishing community of Arab, Middle Eastern, and North African heritage journalists, providing a voice to the communities that they come from. Journalism is a righteous profession, and when it starts to look corrupt or immoral, recenter your focus on Arab, Middle Eastern, and North African journalists. Support Arab, Middle Eastern, and North African journalists. They are leading the change that we are seeing in this world, and they will change this world. Before I leave the stage, I'd like to take a moment to honor the journalists who are not present on our t-shirt. Their names are Abdullah Darwish, Muntasir El-Sawaf, Adam Hasuna, and Mustafa Bakir. May their memories fuel our revolution, and may we liberate Palestine in their name.